welcome, Tom, to the Shining Light Morning Video Podcast Show, where I shine a light on my guest and what you're doing, and just shine a light on some positivity and what's going on in our local area. Tom Duggan is a photographer, and I'd like to get into how long you've been a photographer for, and some more about the services that you offer and what you're doing and how you're getting through this coronavirus. But let's start with Tom Duggan Photography and what you do.
Right now, I specialize in commercial photography. I cater to businesses, small and large. I do a lot of real estate photography. I do a lot of architectural photography, new construction. I really do a lot of real estate. But I also do a lot of business branding. One of my larger clients is a major healthcare provider in the Hudson Valley. And I do a lot of, I do actually all of their incoming provider headshots, but I also do headshots for a lot of professionals in the area, doctors, lawyers, surgeons, accountants, anybody who has a business who wants to create digital content to help promote their business. And I try and provide as high quality a product as I possibly can. Yeah, and you've been doing photography for how long, Tom? Oh, we don't want to talk about that. I actually started photography in 1978 in high school. I started a part-time concern while I still had a white-collar job back in 2000. And then I went full-time in 2011. I was kind of forced into it because the market I was in, I was a IT mainframe engineer, and the market just fell out. Everybody was laying off everybody, and I got laid off. And I'm like, okay, let's give the dream a try. And you have a serious passion for photography. A lot of our conversations that we've had is around that. When you're talking about commercial photography, can you get into maybe some storytelling as to what you were doing, obviously before the coronavirus, when you were going out and doing photo shoots with commercial real estate clients and things like that? Sure. I don't know if you're familiar with Silo Ridge up in Armenia. It's a new development, high-end development built around a golf course. Yes, I am familiar with what you're talking about now. In fact, from my understanding, Tom Brady bought a house there, Michael Strahan. There's several celebrities. If you're not familiar with the Hudson Valley area, this is Armenia, New York, and that overlooks a beautiful mountain range. And what they did was they tore apart an entire golf course and have built, they built a new golf course, and they're building these huge mansions where, as I just said, some celebrities are purchasing. So that's where what Tom's talking about, Silo Ridge. And so you were, go ahead. Yeah, I was actually a part of the marketing ramp up on that. Actually, it's the development is actually in a valley. Where you're actually looking up at the mountain range, which is absolutely phenomenal. So actually, Tom Brady looked at property there. Right. He wound up buying in Connecticut. Oh, okay. Okay, so it was just rumors, but yeah, he was looking, and everybody's going to talk about that, of course. Yeah, it was true. He was on site. He was there the day after my project was over. So basically what I did was I took commercial grade, high quality photos of the empty lots for sale to be included in the sales catalog, both online and in print. And then was asked to provide fall images for their use, throughout their marketing campaign. So I actually spent a good week and a half up there. When you're doing these kind of photo shoots, what are some of the challenges that you encounter? Weather. and so how do you overcome that? Wait it out. You can't fight Mother Nature. There's things that you can do if you're doing real estate type stuff. Sure, you can do your interiors. You can, but with a project like we just mentioned, the Silo Ridge project, if it's raining, it's raining. You can't fly your drone. You can't go outside. I didn't have any interior work to do, so you waited. You waited for the sun to come up. Sometimes that gets challenging if you're working on a timeline, a tight timeline. But you know, with the higher end clients, they understand the challenges with people producing media, and that's videographers, photographers, drone operators, things of that nature.
And so I'm seeing some new guests coming in, so I just want to shine a light on you and who you are. I'm with Tom Duggan from Tom Duggan Photography, and he's been a photographer since he admitted 1978. Tom Duggan and I met at a networking event. In fact, I believe it was a 1-year anniversary for Peak Construction. And at the time, I had just started shooting my Quick Tip Tuesday videos, and I was using a lens, a camera, and I wasn't sure. I thought I had to buy some $3,000 camera, and I saw Tom there. He was taking photos of everything, and I saw one of his $5,000 cameras or something like that. Don't quote me on it, but I was checking it out, and I said, "Oh man, I got to figure out how to buy one of these or loan one of these." And he looked at me and he said, "For what?" And what Tom did was just tremendous, and I want to get into this a little bit. Was he led me down a path that obviously was a lot less money, and helped me understand the difference between cameras and lenses and everything that comes with it. So basically what he said to me was, "Bullshit, Michael, you don't need to buy a new camera." And that was exactly what he said to me, and he just met me for the first time. And from that point on, you, Tom, helped me find the right lens for my current camera. I didn't have to go out and purchase a new one. You helped me find the right lens to be able to shoot my Quick Tip Tuesdays, which improved the quality tremendously. And I'm very grateful for that. With what you do in photography, can you speak a little bit about that, about the lenses, about the cameras, about some of the technical side of things? Some might find it boring, but what you helped me do was understand it in layman's terms. And I think some people out there would appreciate it. I see Jeff Severson Photography is on here. I know he'll appreciate some of this.
It falls back to, I like to help people. If I see somebody doing something with a camera, you know, much like yourself, or fielding questions, not so much technical. One of my big phrases that I like to use is "buy it right the first time."
Right.
People are like, "Oh, I want to get this, I want to get that." And you don't need that. You know, if you're ramping up to become a professional or, you know, an advanced hobbyist, okay, that's one thing. But if you're going to do day-to-day, you know, regular people photography, look into the message boards, look into the Nikon sites, the Sony sites, the Canon sites. There's a lot of resource out there geared towards the layperson, you know, as you had mentioned. It all depends what you want to do. There isn't a...
So to guide you down some kind of path here, if someone's just starting out in either photography or a little bit of videography, not camcorder-ish, but more of just like using their DSLR or mirrorless or whatever it is, camera, what would you, if you can give a little tip to somebody starting out or looking to start out, just taking some pictures, maybe of family or even on the business side, what would you tell them to look at if they, you know, had a tight budget and weren't really looking to spend much? Kind of how you helped me in a way is what I'm asking.
Tight budget, I'm more familiar with the Canon and the Nikon lines rather than the Sonys. The mirrorless are becoming more popular. They're lightweight. They produce a very commensurate product compared to the bigger DSLRs. But the bigger lines have 3 lines. They have a consumer, prosumer, professional line. For entry-level people, I would go into the consumer line, like the Digital Rebel, the Nikon 7000 series. And usually with a kit lens, they'll come with like a 17 to 35 or something a little bit larger than that, would be fine for everyday walk-around type still images, and the 17-35 lens would be fantastic for video. I think I got you into the 35 prime.
Yeah, I have a Nikon, yeah.
Yeah, so, but now that you bring that up, what I will tell people is if they're shopping for a consumer-grade or prosumer-grade camera on Amazon or Alibaba or whatever, stay away from the kits. Call me. Go to my website.
Right.
send me an email and say, Tom, is this a good bargain? 9 times out of 10, I'm going to tell you no.
Right.
They stuff the package with things you don't need. What you basically just need is a media card, a camera body, and a camera lens. Don't worry about the little bulb blowers and the polka dot filters and the things you wear on your head to stay away from that stuff.
Right.
If you think it's a good deal, it's not. That's not just with photography. It's with a lot of things. If you think it's too good to be true, it usually is. So
yeah.
If you can afford a mirrorless, go for a mirrorless. If you can afford a consumer grade DSLR, fantastic. I got into it because they got under $1,000, and that's really affordable for a lot of people. So,
yeah, and Jeff Severson just mentioned that he started out with a Rebel T1i, and he does photography. You mentioned that one. I think it just did it cut out. Did you hear me? Jeff Severson said that he started out with a Rebel T1i.
Yeah,
I have a Nikon D3. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, you were actually call on this line, and it goes over to my iPad. So I think I'm just going to power off my phone. Yeah, I started out with the Digital Rebel because that was the first sub $1,000 DSLR buy. At the time, I think it was the Nikon D1H, and I believe it was a $7,000 buy. And
wow,
I had a corporate white collar job, making a very good salary, and I was even.
So you were able to do it?
No, I wasn't. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not doing it because I was still a hobbyist.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah, a hobby at that point. And then Canon came out with the Digital Rebel, it was called KISS back in either 99 or 2000.
Right.
And then things started to evolve from there. I was like, great, because I started out with the point and shoots. When it became affordable, because I used to do black and white photography and color photography and do it myself. I used to do the wet darkroom, and then when I moved out on my own, there was really no place for me to set up a darkroom, with all the chemical trays and hanging up my prints and wherever. The
old school way, the 1970s way of doing photography. And I see a couple of guests just joined. So I'm here with Tom Duggan from Tom Duggan Photography. He talked about some services that he provides, such as portraits and headshots and commercial real estate and all sorts of other things. But Tom, something else I want to get into before we run out of time is you mentioned to me that you had some new services that you would like to share with everybody, especially now with the coronavirus. I think this is what this was along the path with, right?
Yeah, it gave me it's a godsend. It's a blessing and a curse where you do have some time. So I actually invested some time and money into some equipment that will allow me to ramp up my commercial real estate, architectural construction type of photography, where I'll be able to provide 3D video tours, 360-degree video products, a product called Matterport, where it basically takes a 3D model of whatever property you're photographing, and you're able to manipulate it on screen. So that's really, really good for real estate agents or architects to show prospective clients or prospective homeowners, what the overall footprint of the property looks like, especially now with not being able to go to show houses. But I'm gonna correct myself, because as of last night, real estate has been deemed essential. So real estate agents, both consumer or residential and commercial, are back in business.
Okay.
That's a lot of us are kind of scratching our heads and kind of are riding the fence on that, because we haven't reached the apex as Governor Cuomo or a lot of the governors.
Right, with everything going on, sure.
Right, so
something that I heard a real estate agent tell me is that they're doing something called virtual tours. Is that something that you're able to put this in?
But now, see, that there's a catch-22. Excuse me. In order to have a virtual tour, the photographer or videographer has to get into the property.
Right, and that's where I'm wondering if you're able to do that then.
Well, that's where the slippery slope lies, where do I want to walk into a property that's
Right.
been occupied?
Right.
Again, I had mentioned my biggest client is a healthcare provider. So I have, even before all this, I have disinfectants, I have bacteria wipes, I carry Purell. I snort Purell in between photo sessions. So I'm very cautious to begin with, but I don't know what I'm walking into. I could be, and not just me, the real estate agent or the home inspector or, anybody outside of the homeowner walking into a home. And it sounds horrible to say, I don't want to go into your home because, it's negative, but
right.
we have to watch out for ourselves.
Yeah, we do have to be very careful, with everything.
I don't have a problem doing it as long as I can be assured that, the homeowner's not going to be there, things are where they're supposed to be.
Right.
There's a big thing with real estate photographers about clutter and personal things, in the rooms and moving things for aesthetic reasons. And I had no problem doing that prior to COVID-19. But now, even though I wear gloves and masks and this, I don't want to touch anything. Right.
So moving into a different space here, one thing that I like to do as well is try to figure out what is the positive outcome of this isolation, of this COVID-19, of what we're all experiencing right now. What do you, either as a photographer or even just as a person, feel that is the positive outcome of this entire situation?
As a professional photographer, it gives you time to, hone your skills, to attend workshops and webinars, maybe think outside the box about what you're doing or what have you done before COVID-19, what you can do after COVID-19 to, keep yourself going. There's a huge support network that I belong to in the professional photographer circles, and it's actually international. So the person who hosts it runs two sessions, one in the evening for us in the States, and then one in the morning for the Pacific Rim and the European people, which I think is phenomenal because, we get to sit and we talk about, our hardships, but then we also talk about new things that we want to try. And, like you were kind of drawing out of me is like the technical stuff, that stuff is like uber geeky. And, you and I could probably talk about that over a cup of coffee, but, things like that, how we can help each other. I love to collaborate with people. We're going to be talking at some point about various things. I love talking with my fellow colleagues and hearing what they're doing or what critiques they have for me, or if I can provide constructive criticism to them. As far as personal goes, I try and keep in touch with people, see how they're doing, offer what I can if I can. I donated some personal items to a hospital just the other day, going through, decluttering prior to COVID, and I was going to sell it, but now people need things. And it's like, okay, great. This is what I have. If you need it, we'll meet at the East Fishkill Police Department. They have a little section just for internet purchases. That's nice and safe. Other than that, if somebody needs me to go shopping or they need computer help or they need an ear, I'm here.
Again, it's that humanity that's coming out that you're seeing and witnessing. Something that you mentioned, and we spoke about it before this call, was that network that you're involved in where, I just want to recap real quick. I'm here with Tom Duggan Photography. He's a photographer, does commercial photography, headshots, and all sorts of different types of photography, and enjoys it. It's a passion of his. And one of the things that we just spoke about is something positive that's coming out of this and you might have been part of this network for a long time, but you're truly seeing the value in this network that you're in, where you're speaking with photographers from what you told me, Australia and Europe and Italy and all sorts of different places, where I could only imagine that by speaking with people from these different countries and different continents, that you're gaining a lot of knowledge and different perspectives from these photographers that typically in our small circles, in local small circles, it's a little bit harder, a little bit more challenging to have that, to be able to ask somebody, what's it like to photograph a lion in the wild or something like that. I'm sure you have some amazing stories coming from this group.
Oh yeah, and it comes on both sides of the coin. It's like how various people from different countries are dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as what you just said is, what kind of businesses they run in their respective demographic. Actually, the person who hosts this is from South Africa, but he lives in Jersey now. But he is a world traveler. He's been to Italy on professional photo shoots. There's people that are from the New York section, never mind overseas, that work for the UN, as a professional photographer.
Right.
And as you alluded to, there's a lot of I can't even pinpoint or select a story because it's just so diverse.
Right.
Everything from models to world leaders to, as you say, roaming about the Serengeti, on a Range Rover, filming or photographing a cheetah taking down a gazelle.
Right. So what do you think is harder to shoot, a model or a cheetah taking down a gazelle?
Yes.
A trick question.
Honestly, Mike, it depends. I've shot models that completely are engaged in the session, and you don't even have to say anything. All you take a little finger motion, and they know what to do, and they know how to act the camera. But then on the same side of the coin, there's models that you really have to work to get them to engage and to get I
noticed that we have a few photographers on our thread here at Talix Media and HV Drones and Jeff Severson, and if anybody else is, I'll put a quick question out there. What do you think is harder to shoot, a cheetah in the wild or a model? And I think Tom just said he'd rather shoot a cheetah in the wild, but.
Give me a 500 millimeter lens and I'll follow that.
And he'll go for it. You mentioned about some of your generosity and acts of kindness that you're doing for your community and meeting with people and trying to help people. Something else I'd like to do is try to shine a light on our communities and the acts of kindness and generosity that we're witnessing and seeing in our communities. Could you speak about anything that you're seeing in your local community or people around you, that acts of kindness right now that are going on?
Oh, it's incredible. Just people going outside of their comfort zones. Well, never mind talking about the first responders and the medical professionals that are just risking their lives literally on a daily basis, taking care of people who are affected. But the community as a whole, people willing to, drop food off to elderly people. The businesses in the area, there's a couple laundromats that I just happened to have seen on one of the community Facebook pages. They're coming to your home to pick up your laundry and drop it off. I'm seeing a lot of local businesses reduce prices so that people can afford to. And these aren't luxury items. It's basic food. And survival type things. So, just watching people help other people in general. I mean, again, there's nothing specific because so many people are doing so many things for so many others. And it's actually overwhelming a lot of the community pages that I belong to. And everything you read is always, I'm here to help. I'm here to help. Call me if you're feeling down. Call me if you need me to go grocery shopping.
Yeah, what you're talking about, and I just want to I see 3 West Productions saying they can't hear you. I can hear Tom well, and if you can't hear Tom, that's okay. I can hear him, and this is going to be put out again and on my Instagram, and if Tom gets a copy of it, he'll put it on his, and I'll be reproducing this as well in a YouTube video. So if you can't hear him and you want to hear what he had to say, call him. I'm sure he'll be happy to recap with you, but I can hear him well, so it might be your phone. I'm sorry about that. And so just again, yeah, and Jeff said he can hear you. So anyway, thank you for that, 3 West Productions. I hope that you can find this somehow and be able to hear Tom, but I'm sure you can touch base with him. And so just recapping, I'm here with Tom Duggan Photography. He's been a photographer since 1978, does commercial photography, just regular photography, and is a really great personality, and an amazing resource. I got to tell you, I'm not a photographer. I'm not a videographer in any sense. I just do some stuff on my own to try to promote my business and what I do, and try to get myself out in front of a camera. And Tom took a lot of, we had just met at a networking event. We knew each other for 5 minutes. He shared with me his contact information, and I posed a question to him, and he took a lot of time out of his day, the day that I was looking to change my lens, to help me find that. So he's not just a photographer, but he's also a really great resource to those out there that are listening or watching this right now. So feel free to reach out to him. All of his information is in the contact. Something you talked about with acts of kindness and generosity just now is something that's been a common thread that I've been hearing. This is just humanity and people just being kind to each other and being there for each other. And I think that goes a long way. I really hope that we can continue having that happen, is just everybody just looking out for each other and helping each other out, because honestly, we wouldn't need these huge organizations to step into play if we just as people did these little things for each other. That would really go a long way. And I'm glad that you're doing it in your community. I'm trying to do it in my community, and I know tons of people out there are doing it in theirs. In fact, I'm going to have somebody on tomorrow, and Bill McKnight from ECS up in Port Ewan. He was telling me about some runs that he's doing for the food pantry in Kingston, where he can't work right now, so he's just delivering food. That's what he's doing, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. But I want to thank you very much for coming on the show today. Tom, you have, as I just expressed, have been a great resource to me, have been a very helpful person, and I really look forward to seeing you back in the field, shooting like you do, with 5 cameras hanging off of your waist, and sweating bullets and just grabbing shots all over the place. It was really cool to see you work. I would just like to give you back the mic for one more minute and ask you if there's anything else that you would like to share with our audience, and see if there's anything new that you want to share, or any enlightening phrases that you'd like to share.
I belong, as you know, to a bunch of networking groups, and BNI being one of them. I just got inducted into my chapter this morning, and their recent phrase that they're using is "we leave no member behind," and that doesn't have to be just for BNI. It's right. Your family, your friends, your community. I don't care who it is. If you don't know the person, don't leave them behind. Nobody should go through any type of hardship with what we're going through right now. So even if you can, if it's $1 you can donate, fine. If it's, $1.50 in gas, it's because you're carting something to somebody, do it. If it's a phone call, do it. If it's attending an online meeting to help yourself or to help somebody else, just go online, look for resources, and look for things that you can do to help others during the pandemic that we're having right now. So, I thank you for thinking of me to be on your podcast. I think you're doing a great thing by shining light on a great web of people and things within the Hudson Valley. I mean, you're over across the river, and you're reaching out to me here in Dutchess County, and I know you go west of where you live and east of where I live, just to bring other people and what they can bring to the community, in front of other people. So that's a good thing that you do, Michael, and thank you for that.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you very much. And thanks for coming on the show today. Tom Duggan Photography. And as Tom just said, if you take anything from this entire conversation, it's reach out to a loved one and let them know you love them, let them know that you're thinking of them, let them know you care about them, and a friend, whatever it is, just be social, be kind, and care for each other. Tom, thank you so much for coming on the show today. As I said, Tom's links are in the description. Tom, but can you just give us your handles real quick and your web address before we end this?
Sure. It's on Facebook, it's Tom Duggan Photography, all one string. On Instagram, it's Tom Duggan Photography. On LinkedIn, I think it's Tom-Duggan-Photography. Phone number, 914-204-1495. Email is tom@tomdugganphoto.com. Website, tomdugganphoto.com.
Cool.
And I take care of your pigeon too. So.
Well, again, thank you everybody for joining us today. I really appreciate all of you watching the Shining Light morning show, and I hope to see you all tomorrow morning. Tom, thanks so much, and I'll speak to you in a little bit.
All right,
bye, everyone.